All right, gentlemen, we have an exciting segment for you. We are here at Wendle Motors in Spokane, Washington. And we're talking with Alex Sanchez. He is one of their sales guys here on the floor. But moreover, we're here today, and we're going to help you with some questions on how to buy your first new car. A lot of you guys out there watching right now may have a used vehicle, but there is a time in your life where you're going to want to sit down and talk with someone about buying your first new vehicle. So, Alex, why don't we start off here? You work for Wendle Motors. How long have you been with them?
Well, like you said, my name is Alex Sanchez. I've actually been with Wendle Motors. This is my 15th year here with the company. All been great years, I would like to say. But yeah, 15 years.
Yeah. Now, guys, I bought one of my first vehicles from Alex, and I had a fantastic experience. And today we're going to be talking you through, again, buying that first vehicle. So, talk to us a little bit about, when somebody's walking through your door the first time, what can they expect here when they come on site at Wendle Motors?
Well, first and foremost, it's a pretty big lot. So coming in, it can be a little intimidating. There's a lot of product. There's a lot to see. You can expect to have a lot of information thrown at you. So it's probably best to know kind of what you're looking for when you first come in. But first and foremost, we want you to feel welcome coming in here. You can ask as many questions as you have. We'll definitely give you the best answers we can and the best information we can, for sure.
No, that's perfect. And this is all about your education, guys. You said a real key thing there. Ask as many questions as you want. Questions are the key to making sure you're unlocking the best deal, but at the same time, being as educated as you can. If you're looking here, this is a brand new, what is this, a Ford
Expedition.
Ford Expedition. I mean, these things are back to the marketplace. Everybody loves these things. I don't know a lot about these things, but if I were to go walk on the lot, I would ask a ton of questions. It would help me buy the vehicle better. Now, Alex, in your career here in 15 years at Wendle, how many cars do you estimate you've sold?
A lot. Over 2,000.
Over 2,000. So
yeah.
This guy knows exactly what he's talking about. And I want to transition and talk about the experience. When somebody's coming on, they're asking questions. Talk to us about a time that maybe you had a really good buyer, that you had an experience that's like, boy, that guy, he understands what he's doing. What were some key things, some successes that you took away from that?
Well, I guess I could draw it down to one customer, but it's happened so many times I've noticed that there's a trend with that. Usually a good experience is someone who comes in, they get exactly what they're looking for, very close to what they're looking for. They leave at a very comfortable price. It was fair to pay for the product, and they were super happy. So they were either at above and beyond what they were expecting. But yeah, usually all of them have the same thing in common. They got what they came for. It exceeded their expectations, and the process was smooth.
Sure.
So those all were good experiences.
Very cool. What are some key questions that somebody should be, when they're buying their first new vehicle, what do you think they should be asking you, the salesperson?
Well, first off, before actually coming into a dealership, right, there's just so much information online these days. You can go out there, you can get online, you can actually research location of vehicles, where they're located, pricing, how those are priced comparatively to the marketplace, what those vehicles have that you're looking for. And once you have an idea of that and you come in, you should have a pretty good idea of what you're looking for. And then the salesperson that's lucky enough to help you should be able to help guide you to that product that you're looking for.
All right, so key point number one is do your research. There are so many options out there. Research is so key. All right, so here they are. They walk on the lot. They've got a printout. Let's say it's TrueCar or something like that. They're walking in. What's that next step look like? What should the person or young man be asking you? Walk in and say, I want this. He's got that piece of paper. What's the next step?
Well, first of all, I appreciate someone that comes in with their research already done. It makes my job a lot easier because when we're out there and as an automotive sales representative, the marketplace is super competitive. There's obviously tons of different dealerships you can go to buy your car. But when someone comes in and they've done the research and they're at my car dealership here at Wendle and they're saying, I want this vehicle, well, first of all, we want to provide that to you. So usually they do go to like an online resource like TrueCars or Cars.com or something like that. They have a pretty good idea what a fair purchase price is for that vehicle, and here at Wendle, we can definitely accommodate that for them.
Okay, so point number two, do your research. As you can hear, that makes the sales process much easier for Alex, and you're walking in saying, this is the vehicle I want, this is the Expedition I have in mind, and this is why I want to know. Makes that relationship with the salesperson that much more easier. Guys like Alex, they're not your enemy, despite what your grandpa may have said. You're not going to walk in and kick the tires anymore at a normal dealership. The sales process has changed. All right, so they're prepared. They've done their research. Now we're beginning the conversation. What are some questions that, as a salesperson, that you want to try to drive them towards obviously you want them to buy the car, but at the same time, you want to strike a relationship with them.
Right. Well, first of all, it seemed easier to just go out there and just start looking at everything we have. But what we usually like to do here at Wendle is have a quick conversation with the customer, find out, hey, what are you looking for? What do you need this vehicle to do? What would you like this vehicle to do? What's your budget? Stuff like that. Do you have a family? Are you going to school? Are you going to need to tow anything? What kind of things do you like to do in your life? All these things kind of narrow down the scope of what's out there down to a general few that we can go and explore a little bit more, especially when we start asking questions like, what would you like the vehicle to do for you and what's your budget? Those things take a huge inventory and narrow it down to a select few that match most, if not all, the criteria that you're looking for.
All right, so key point number 3 is really understand the life events that you're going to have with this vehicle. So those are 3 really key pieces. And when we come back, we're going to talk just a little bit about the deal, the actual sitting down and talking about
Sure.
that, why it's so crucial.
Right.
And that's a really big part of it. So hang on, we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, we're back, and here we are. We're at the desk, and this is probably the most intimidating part.
It can be, yeah.
The entire process, the deal. And again, I said, guys like Alex, they're not your enemy. They're not here to wheel and deal. They want to make money just like you do, but at the same time, they're running a business, and we've got to respect that. So talk about this process right here a little bit. How do we make this less intimidating as a buyer?
Well, you said it right. I am not the enemy. I want you to have a good experience when you're here, Jay. I want everyone to have a good experience, especially when they're here at Wendle. I represent the company, and especially when you guys are with me. Because if Jay has a good experience, right, or if you have a good experience with me, chances are you're going to tell your family and friends. And that's another reason why I've survived as long as I have in a very competitive marketplace is by giving people good experiences, being honest, being straightforward with the information, and having you come back many, many times over. So, yeah, I am not the enemy, but we are here, and we ultimately want to make you guys a deal. And you can find a lot of this stuff online. The pricing, we're very fair. It's become almost a virtual marketplace. I mean, in the past, you used to be able to come into a dealership. We would go look at vehicles. We could tell you a price. We'd come in and we negotiate. Well, the reality of the matter is everything's online now. So people can sit in the comfort of their own home, shop at every dealership in town if they feel the need to, and narrow it down. So when they come through the doors here, chances are we have the product they're looking for, if not the exact product they're looking for. They'd probably already like our price, or they wouldn't have come in or called in or emailed. And now they're just checking it out firsthand to see if they like it, if it drives the way they like it, if it feels comfortable to them, and all the good stuff. But yeah, no, the information you guys can get is the same information we have here, so it works out good.
Yeah, and that's all part of the process. It's all about relationship. Like I said, I bought one of my very first vehicles from Alex. What was that? Almost 12 years ago.
Sounds right.
Yeah, and I've known Alex for a long time, and this guy is not a used car salesman by any means. This guy knows his craft, and understanding, point 4 being getting to the desk, having done your research, having been prepared, understanding your life events. These are all real key pieces that lead to this moment of getting the fairest deal and the negotiation. Talk about some things during the negotiation. What shouldn't I say as a consumer? What's rude to you?
Well, first of all, as a consumer, you can technically say whatever you want. When we'll work through it. As far as being rude, I don't run into that very often. If it comes off as rude, usually it's something that's a little more straightforward than I would like it to be, or they say that maybe I'm not making the best deal. But the nice thing is there's information out there. There's third-party resources that are not me. Right. They're not the consumer. They're out there basically to sell the information and get people coming back so that when they go to the dealership or they go buy their house or they go buy their TV, they're informed and they feel super confident in it. And I mean, whether I'm selling you a new car or a used car, I want you guys coming back. So we want to make sure that everyone's on the same page and feels super, super comfortable when they leave here. And obviously very, very happy and content. So.
Well, and becoming a gentleman in your life is making sure that when you enter moments like this and it feels tense and there's something that's, you're like, I don't know if this guy's giving me the best deal, is to ask the questions. Hey, am I getting an appropriate deal? Hopefully you've done your research and you know the competitive nature of the car business, but if you don't, feel free to ask guys like Alex, hey man, are you giving me the best deal possible? If not, where can we get to a point that's fair and equitable for both sides?
Correct.
Because he's got to make a living, and you want to make sure you're preserving your living, but at the same time, we want to make sure, as a gentleman, that we're walking away and everybody's encouraged in the circumstance. So, this is probably one of the most delicate parts of the operation, but it's also one of the most rewarding pieces for you as well, right?
Yes.
And you get to see people walk off your lot with a brand new vehicle, something that's really fun for them to drive, and I think it's fantastic. So
so usually finding a vehicle is the hard part, but it can also be a fun part. Don't let the process be so overwhelming that you're not enjoying the actual process of finding the vehicle, test driving the vehicle, checking out the new technology and the new safety features. A lot of these cars have some incredible stuff that wasn't even there 5 years ago. So it might seem overwhelming at first, but let your sales consultant show you the new technologies. Ask them as many questions you want. Again, like we told you before, there is no bad questions. You can ask as many questions you want over and over again. I do this as a career, so I kind of know it just for repetitiveness, but at the same time, just ask me and I'll show you and I will tell you. But yeah, just it should be fun. At the end of the day, we do want to make you a deal, whether we're selling you a $2,000 car or we're selling you a $100,000 car. We want to make sure that you're coming back to Wendle for those purchases, and again, you feel super comfortable with that. So
very true. And Alex brought up a real key point during the test drive. So we're going to break away for a few minutes, and when we come back, we're going to be driving at a test drive, and Alex is going to drive. He's going to talk to us about the etiquette of a test drive, what you guys need to be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, and I think it's something we all should take to heart. So let's go drive a vehicle. All right, guys, we're back, and I'm off camera, but we're taking a vehicle for a test drive right now. What are we driving today?
This is a brand new 2018 Ford Explorer Sport.
This thing is sweet, and we'll have some shots of the interior to show you, but mostly, Alex, we're talking about the test drive here. So talk to us a little bit about test drive etiquette. You know, when we're getting ready to take that test drive, what are some really key things for somebody to do?
Okay, so this is probably one of the most exciting parts of buying a car, is once you have it narrowed down, you've been on the lot, you've looked at the different options, and you're like, you know what, I think this is the one I want to test drive. The salesman's going to ask you or push you towards possibly taking one for a drive to see what your thoughts are. Now keep in mind, this is just a test drive. There is no obligation to buy at this point, so don't feel super pressure that just because you're going for a test drive means you have to buy it. This is just a next natural step in selecting a vehicle, is seeing how comfortable it makes you. Does it fit? Can you see out of it? Does it feel like something that's gonna do what you want it to do?
Sure. So let's talk about some of the do's and do nots. You know, so when somebody's test driving, everybody wants to know, what are the do nots? What shouldn't we do during a test drive?
So I get this question a lot. I will be on a test drive with a customer and they'll ask me, hey Alex, how many crazy test drives have you been on? Have you ever been scared? Well, specifically, the answer to that question is yes, I have been scared, but on the whole scheme of things, it was probably maybe less than 5 test drives in a 15-year career. So it's not something that happens often, but it does happen. So as far as the etiquette part of it, I think a lot of that's just common sense. You want to make sure that when you're test driving the vehicle that you're safe, you're obeying the traffic rules of just normal driving, which is great. But also don't feel overwhelmed. There's so many safety technologies and different technologies in the car. A good salesman will tell you about them up front. They might demonstrate it to you like I might demonstrate a feature or safety feature for you, but I would never have you do it first. I'd want you to get comfortable with what the technology is, what it does, or what it can do. But as far as having you demonstrate it, that's probably not usually a thing. Secondly is the salesman will probably suggest a route for you guys to take, or they might ask you, or is there somewhere you want to go? Now keep in mind, when they ask you this, you want to put a little bit of thought into, okay, so what kind of driving do I do? Do I live downtown? Do I work downtown? In that case, you're probably going to be doing a lot of like 35 mile an hour under type test driving, maybe a little bumpier roads, that kind of thing. Or are you having a good commute to where you're going, to where you're going to need to do a lot of highway, or maybe there's a mix. So as you're thinking of those things, the salesman should be able to suggest a route that might give you a little taste of what the vehicle will do there. So.
Gotcha. So really understanding your environment, where you're going to be, is also going to help drive the type of purchase you're going to want to do as well.
Right.
I mean, here we are in this big, beautiful SUV, but at the same time, we're probably not going to want to be, driving a tiny little, 4-door sedan around in the country roads or something like that. So, obviously the question always comes up, have you ever had people just like want to go get food and drive around and like use the thing all afternoon, or?
Okay, so again, in my 15-year career, that doesn't happen as often. If they're doing that and they're joyriding, I don't know. Usually, when someone comes in and I'm working with them, we're on the path to either filtering out the options that we have or adding them to their list and making it a possibility of something they're buying. If we're on a test drive and maybe they're like, you know what, do you mind if we get a coffee? No, of course not. But if they're like, hey, I'm going to drop you off at the dealership, I'm going to go grocery shopping with my family, I mean, we'll just see. I mean, if we get to a point that they like the car, they like the figures, and everything else is negotiated, it's just a matter of them seeing it in their daily lives, then we actually do offer a program at Wendle once we get to that point where you can actually take the vehicle for 24 hours to make sure it fits in your garage, make sure maybe your spouse can see it, maybe they're at work, have your kids check it out, that kind of stuff. But we do offer that service, but as far as does anybody ever take it out for just joyriding, not usually. No.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that's good to know. So, yeah. All right, so obviously we understand the point of the test drive. What are some things we understand what we need to do? It needs to be able to fit in your garage, in your lifestyle. Those are some really key things as well. Any final thoughts for us, as to on the test drive, some things that the audience should try to accomplish?
So at least in what I do and the way I like to interact with my customers, I like there to be open dialogue. I keep stressing this point throughout our interview together is please ask questions. Do not be afraid to re-ask questions. Again, I know some of the information. I may not know all the information. You know some of the information. If we get together and we have an open line of communication and we're being empathetic towards each other, then there is a point to where we can all be happy. You can get a great deal on a great vehicle. We can get a sale here with our company and represent you and your family, and hopefully for future deals as well. So it's just, for me, it's just communicate, be a real person, they're a real person, and if you guys come together and have a good open line of communication and information, then usually it's pretty easy to come to a point of a sale. So it's good.
Well, great. Well, Alex, thanks for taking us on the test drive and helping us understand, the etiquette of the test drive, what that looks like. Great jacket, by the way, too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good looking. We at Exceptional Gent love stuff like that. Cool. So, all right, guys, we'll see you back in the dealership here in just a few minutes. All right, man. So we got done with this test drive. We're learning a little bit about the etiquette. It was great. We learned about, hey, we're at the desk. What does that deal look like? We learned about the negotiation, and how to be prepared. Obviously, we're going to list, in our article down below about the things that we should be doing when we walk in the dealership. So, Alex, man, we're really hoping to have you back. Thanks for, look at this guy. Look how he's dressed. He's really sharp looking. Nice tie, looks good. So let's make sure we have you back. I'd love to be able to talk about some other vehicles coming up and be able to work with Wendle Motors. So thanks again. And guys, don't live a life that's good or great. Live an exceptional life. And we'd love to talk to you next time. Take care.